Hey, what's everyone? So today I'm just going to be taking a look at the Transformers Netflix spoiler pack Skelivore. As you can see, he's separated into all of his individual little pieces, so you know what that means. We're going to be combining all these pieces and attaching him to Netflix Megatron, so Megatron will be fully powered up and ready for battle. So let's get right into it. So a few of these pieces you do not change at all, like the Dino head, you don't change it at all, so I'm just going to move that out to the side. Same for this armor piece here. If you want to see it, there is a nice Predicon symbol on there and some silver. Same for the mace, you don't change that at all, you just put that in his hands. So the rest of these pieces, you do change, so let's get right into it. So we're going to make the battle axe first. So what you're going to want to do is get this little shoulder piece, and you're going to attach that on to that section there. Then you can get this handle piece, attach that on to it again, and then you have the full battle axe. So for this little peg here, you can have it sticking up, or you could have it down. If you want it to be a little bit more compressed and less tall, you can do that. So there is the battle axe. We're going to put that out to the side so it's out of the way, so we have more room to create the big claws. So for the claws, you're going to want to make sure the peg is sticking out like that so it can attach to his back. Of course, make sure the pegs are sticking up. Now for the claws themselves, you're going to want to get the feet, bring that peg out, bring that out, of course, and now you can get these attached to them like that. Make sure the kind of ugliness is facing inside. Of course, you can have the more clean look outside. That's just my personal preference. Of course, you could have it the other way around. I just think it looks a little bit more clean looking that way. And now you can have the arms. Do the same thing. Have the less cleaner look facing inside. You can just attach this section like that. Sometimes it can be a little hard to align. You just gotta make sure they line up nice and good and attach smoothly. There we go. Wasn't super smooth, but there we go. So there we go. There's one of the claws. Do the same thing for the other claw. Just line them up. Just peg them into place. And there we have the really big claws fully complete and ready to be attached to Megatron. So let's bring out, of course, Netflix Megatron. So I'm just going to raise the camera a tad bit. We're going to bring out Megatron. He does not have his sword or cannon. I don't think he needs them because he has all these really cool accessories that we're about to give him. So first up, we're going to attach the big claws on the back. So you're just going to rotate Megatron fully around. There is two ports. My suggestion is to have the claws on one side and have the battle axe and his hand on the other so they do not scratch up or anything like that, and they won't scratch the paint or get entangled or anything like that. So I'm going to put the claws on this side, so I will have Megatron hold the battle axe on this arm so it does not get entangled or scratch anything up. So turn it around, and of course you can position the claws to your liking. I'm going to have them like this, maybe a little bit more forward. There we go. And now for the battle axe, of course, like I said, I'm going to bring the arm out and put it in this hand right here. Make sure it's fully in. There we go. So as you can already see, I think they did an amazing job with this Megatron and how the tight joints hold the weight. As you can see, there is a lot of weight on the back, but he's not leaning back at all. Also, there's a lot of weight in that arm, and it's not leaning down or dragging or anything, which is really good, because I had a major problem with previous fossilizers and modulators and all that stuff, where if you attach it to a figure, the figure wouldn't have very tight joints, so they would just drag all the accessories, all the weapons from the fossilizer or modulator, and it wouldn't really work at all. So with this, I think it does really good job. So for the last pieces, they're a very simple installation. You're just going to want to, of course, for the Dino head, you could put on either side. I'm going to put it on the side with the big battle axe, because I think that'll look really cool. You could have his mouth open, like he's breathing fire. That looks really cool. Or ready to bite someone. So for the mace, of course, you can have it fully closed or a little bit open. I'm going to have it open so it looks like it's screaming. Just to get his hand here, and you can just partially slide it in. I would not suggest sliding the mace fully in. That seems like a pretty bad idea, because it'll be a real pain to get it out later. And for this last little armor piece, you're going to want to go to the side of the arm. There's a port there, and there's a peg on the piece, and you're just going to want to attach that just like that. So there is Megatron fully equipped with all the pieces. I think it looks really, really cool, especially with that Matrix leadership on his chest. Of course, you could still give him his gun and sword. I think it would be a little bit too cluttery in my opinion. I just want to take them off so it wouldn't distract from the Skelivore pieces. But of course, if you wanted to still have those pieces on, you absolutely could. You could attach the gun to maybe the shoulder or the leg, and maybe the sword could store on his back in the other port, something like that. Of course, there's a lot of ports on this figure where you could place those accessories. But overall, it looks really cool with the mace, the battle axe, the dino head, and the really cool little claws there. Of course, that little armor piece. A very simple little, modular sort of thing, you could say. Very, very simple, very cool. It is the same as the other versions with Transmutant and Paleotrix. I did the exact same thing with those figures. I think it still looks pretty cool with this one. So let's get into the T-Rex mode. So of course, what you're going to want to do is just take everything off Megatron. Just take the battle axe out of his hands. Just do that. Gets the armor piece. Just take that off. Just wiggle the mace out of his hands. Could be a little tight. Go back here and just unpeg these little claws, and we'll probably bring Megatron out again for a robot comparison. So there we go. We're going to lower the camera so we can see everything, of course. And you're actually going to want to keep this piece exactly how it is. The only thing you really need to do now is just bring that peg down. That's it. And now you can get the T-Rex head. Just attach that. So if you're confused on what pieces these are, this is the handle piece, the shoulder piece, and another shoulder piece. And of course, this is the dino piece right here. So yeah, really from the modular battle axe, there's not really a lot you need to change to the T-Rex mode. For this section, there is some things you do need to change. So what you're going to want to do is separate these pieces here, like that. And then you can put these pieces off to the side as well as these pieces. So now for this section, you're going to want to have the peg facing down, like this. You're going to want to rotate that down, having this section face forward, just like that. Or this little flat, smooth section facing in. And now what you're going to want to do is, there is a tab and a slot, and there is a tab and a peg, and you're going to want to attach everything together just like this. So make sure everything is aligned so it aligns properly, because if you don't put the tab and slot into place, this head will be misaligned and it'll look kind of weird. So just make sure you align everything properly. It could take a few tries, but that is okay. So just align everything nice and good. Sometimes it might take, again, a few tries, but again, that's okay. So there we go. Very, very cool. So there we have the T-Rex pretty much fully complete. The body is pretty much fully complete. So now for the rest, you're going to want to go down here, and you're going to want to get that armor piece that I showed you earlier. And there is a tab and a tab, and there is 2 slots on the inside. And as you can see what I'm doing here, you're just going to want to tab these sections together, just like that. Sometimes it can take some aligning, but there we go. And now what you're going to want to do is just put that down for a second. These are actually already the T-Rex legs. There's really not much you need to do. So all you really need to do is just bring these pegs in. Same thing for this one. Just bring the peg in so it can attach to the T-Rex. So there is a post sticking out right there. You can peg that right into place. Do the same thing on the other side. Just peg that right into place. And there is the T-Rex mode. Fully transformed, looking very, very cool. As you can see, the mace is off to the side. You can attach it to the T-Rex mode if you want to, but that really is an option. So I'm just going to straighten him out a tiny bit, and then we'll take a look at the details. Here we have Skelivore in his T-Rex mode. Let's take a look at the details. So I think he overall looks really, really good. Nice black, silver, and dark purple there. Lots of transparent purple plastic overall. The figure looks really, really good, especially in the dino head section. Nice silver for the teeth, some black mixture in there, some black more on the rib cage. Again, lots of really nice bone detailing over the figure. Looks really, really nice. Some more bone texturing on the feet. Looks very creepy and bone-like, scary. We do have some little dino arms, very cute and tiny. And overall, just a really, really cool figure. So let's get a quick comparison for the T-Rex mode. I'm just going to move the skull off to the side, or the mace, whatever you want to call it. Here we have Skelivore with Transmutates, a repaint, slight remold of this figure. So of course, Skelivore here is very, very similar to Paleotrex. He is still similar to Transmutate. Really, the only difference is the head sculpt. That is it. But overall, with really just paint apps, it's the only difference really for the T-Rex mode. They have all the same transformations, same features, same accessories. That's all the same stuff. But still, two very, very cool figures here. Always like a really cool T-Rex, of course. So very, very similar to dinosaurs here, but do look very, very cool. Of course, completely different colors, more of a gold and blue, a lot of dark purple, and some black and silver on the Skelivore figure. But two very, very cool dinos. Between these two, which one do you like the most? I think probably Transmutant. I think he does have tighter joints. Also, I am more familiar with the character because she was in, of course, the Beast Wars show. This is a brand new character, Skelivore, right here. But still a pretty good figure in the spoiler pack. So, very cool T-Rexes. Let's take a look at a semi-customizable feature for the T-Rex mode. So, as you can see, the skull or head is really just off to the side. If you do not want it off to the side, you can. There is a port right there and a peg, of course, for on the head, and you can just, you know, shimmy that in if you want to, and that will store right into place. So that is a cool feature. I know people don't like pieces off to the side. They might consider parts forming or something like that. I think it is kind of silly to have this feature because, of course, this is a bone dinosaur. There's no flesh or blood or anything. Of course, it is just bones and, of course, metal. It is just a fossilizer. So really don't think it makes any sense to fill in the head with, you know, something in it because it should be hollow. There's no bones or eyes or anything. If you're going to get down to the technical stuff, if you know what I mean. I have heard people say the same stuff, that it's a dead dinosaur. There shouldn't be, you know, filled in area, especially for the head. So it is kind of a silly thing to do, but I do understand people do not like to put things off to the side. So if you're one of those people who do not like to put stuff out to the side, here is a really, really cool option. So that's pretty much it for features and details. Let's get into articulation. So articulation-wise, for the tail, hopefully I can show you well. Again, this is a fossilizer, so there is a ton of articulation in this figure for the T-Rex mode and the robot mode. So what you're going to want to do for the tail is just, you can move it up and down. There is a swivel and another swivel here at this last section. Of course, there is this notch here, so it won't be able to do a full 360, but it has a pretty good degree. For the legs, I'm just going to move them, take them off because it might get kind of hard to handle. So for the leg, there is a hinge, of course. There is a bend, forward and back. There is another hinge here, forward and back. And there is another hinge at the foot, forward and back. Of course, there is also another hinge at the hands or feet. So you can close that and open it. So pretty good degree. I just took it off so it'd be a little bit easier to show you without the rest of the T-Rex getting in the way. Of course, same articulation for the other leg. There's also a bit of a rocket back and forth on this hinge right here. So that's kind of nice. You can have it in a more dynamic pose if you want to, like running or something. For the rest of it is a ball joint for the little dino arms. For the head, if you just take out the skull section here, because this robot head can kind of get in the way. It does kind of limit the articulation. It can hinge all the way back, all the way forward and down, and of course it can open. So yes, unfortunately, if you do have that head section in there, it does semi-limit the articulation. So pretty good degree for this figure. So overall, very, very good articulation. Let's get into transformation to the robot mode. So you know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to rip everything apart. Just, you know, pretty much completely dismantle the figure. So just take off the tail, separate these two pieces here. It's a very, very secure section. There we go. And you can bring the head back into place. And now what you're going to want to do is take this section off, unravel this bit like that. You can remove the dino head, you can take the legs off, and you can separate the robot leg from the dino leg, or the hand from the leg. So there we go. Just separate everything. And you're going to want to bring this section back to become the heel spur. Same thing on the other one, bring that back to become the heel spur. So now we have all the pieces laid out. So now what you're going to want to do is bring this peg, make sure it faces up, and for the little dino legs, or hands I mean, you can just put them on the side. You could have them facing out if you wanted to, make it more dynamic. I usually just kind of put them against the leg. That's usually what I do. So now for these pieces, just attach them. Again, what I like to do is have this kind of ugliness facing in, so it's a little bit cleaner on the outside. That's what I just do. Again, it doesn't matter. You could have it facing on the outside if you wanted to. So just do the same thing. Plug it in. And now you have that section. Starting to construct the figure. For the dino head there, close that up, and there was a peg, and that will just attach into the port for the head. So just plug that into place, like that, close it up, and this will just attach onto the peg, just like that. You can now get this armor piece here, or the chest piece. There is a port, and of course a peg right into place, and you can have that. Very, very nice. And then you can get these shoulder sections there. Make sure this little slot is facing back. You do not want that to be facing forward. And then you can tab that right, or peg that right into place. Get this other shoulder section here. Just plug that into place. There we go. And then you can get the head. There is that same port there. Just plug that all the way in. And you can have him open his mask or close it. Either way, I think it's pretty cool to have it like partially open, so it looks like he's screaming like that. I think that looks really scary and menacing. So now for the hands again, I like to have a little bit of ugliness facing on the inside. I think it's a little bit cleaner to have it facing the inside and not the out. And then you can just plug that in, just like that. Do the same thing for the other hands. Make sure the peg is like that. Plug that into place, and there we have Skelivore in his robot mode. So overall, I think he looks very, very scary and menacing. Very, very cool figure. So, of course, he does have a little sword here. I don't think this is the best accessory. I'm pretty sure I said that the same in these previous two molds of this figure, the Transmutate and Paleotrix review. Not, I would say, the best weapon. I think it would have been better if it was, my main problem really, I would say, is this. Because this, of course, is his tail. It also becomes the handle for the battle axe. So this little flat section here is kind of weird, especially for a blade. It's a sword, so why would it be, flat or dull at the end? So that does look kind of odd, in my opinion. But overall, a pretty darn good looking robot mode, in my personal opinion. Very, very cool. Let's get some quick comparisons. Of course, I had to compare him with Megatron, his pack mate. I think they do look very, very cool together. I do like it in packs when they tend to, take two characters from, like, completely different genres or, styles. One more G1 and, of course, a brand new kind of figure, a fossilizer. So that's pretty cool how they cross paths like this in a pack. It's pretty cool. So very, very nice. And we can just take out Paleotrix, the original of this mold, to compare. So as you can see, very, very similar figures. He just has his weapon on his little shoulder piece, which I can show that feature in just a second. So same accessories, as you can see, very, very similar, just new paint apps. That's really it. The head sculpt is quite similar. I can open that up so I can show you how similar they are. Very, very similar figures, just brand new paint apps. But, honestly, with some figures and some molds, that's really all it needs. Some new paint apps, and it just makes it an amazing figure. In some situations, it'll make it a better figure than the original mold. Would I say this is better than Paleotrix? I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know. I have actually not really put that much thought into it. I really have only thought between Transmutate and Skelivore, which one's better. I do think Transmutate is a little bit better than Skelivore, in my personal opinion, of course. But between these two, I don't really know. I really know. I do really like the silver on this figure, but I really do like the dark brown on Paleotrix, so it looks like he's, been in dirt, or he's been burned, or something like that. So it's really, really cool. Let me know, between these two, which one do you like more? I think with the joints on my copy, this is too loose for all the molds, or all the modes of this figure, the T-Rex and the robot mode. Too loose, which is unfortunate, but I would actually also say the same for Paleotrix, but they're a little bit tighter by a tiny bit, so. Just down to pickiness, I would say Paleotrix is a better figure, but on appearance-wise, I'm not really sure. But overall, two very cool figures. Again, Megatron's a really cool figure as well. I'm going to move Megatron off to the side. Same for Paleotrix. So yeah, very, very cool figure. So let's take a quick look at the details. So very nice shade of blue for the eyes, some silver and black stripes on the forehead. Very, very nice. And of course you can close it up to reveal a very, very scary, really cool looking mask. But honestly, my favorite thing to do is have it partially open, so it looks like he has like no eyes and he's like screaming, which is really, really cool. Again, some nice spikes on the top of his head, very nice silver. Some more silver on this huge spike there, more silver and black on the other arm. And the hands are identical, very bony-like. We have the simple sword, just some spikes and a little bit of flat at the end, purple. For the chest, a nice Predacon symbol there with some spikes of silver and some cracks, which does look really, really nice. Nice silver Predacon symbol. Some bone area for the rib cage or the chest. Some more bones on the legs. And some dark purple for the feet. And yes, a lot of people have a problem with the feet. They are quite small. I do think he stands surprisingly well. I've had a really hard problem with standing up Paleotrix. Always when I would take him out just to fiddle with them or maybe do a video, and whenever I put him back, of course, trying to stand him in the position I want him in, it's always been an extreme pain, But I mean, you saw me just now just pick him up and put him down, and he easily stands, which is nice. So maybe it's just luck. But overall, a very, very cool looking figure. So accessory-wise, of course, again, just the sword. Storage, of course, you can have him hold it. And if you want to, there is that slot on the back that I showed you of the shoulder. And there's a tab, and you can just plug that into place. This does have a problem like the other ones, like Paleotrix, where it does not stay all the time. It is semi-secure. It's kind of like transmutates, where it just sometimes stays, sometimes doesn't. It is better than Paleotrix. Paleotrix, on my copy, it does not stay at all. You barely just tap the figure, it pops right off. So it is an improvement, I would say, but still, I do think they could have made that a little bit tighter of a connection. But overall, the weapon should be better, in my opinion. So, a very, very cool robot mode. Let's get into articulation, and then we'll be done with this review. So, for the arm, it can rotate all the way around. It can go out and in. There is a bend, back and forth. There is a swivel at this section here. There is a swivel here, and of course, the hand can open up. There is also a hinge here at the wrist. So pretty good articulation. The only thing different, of course, for this side is that there is this section here. The bottom arm is the same articulation. I'm just going to take up the sword so it won't fall off during the articulation segment. So for this section, there is a hinge here, like that. Of course, the articulation is, I would say, slightly limited because of this big spike, but overall pretty much the same articulation for both arms. For the head, it can rotate all the way around. It's just very, very tight. Very tight. It can rotate all the way around. It can look slightly up, slightly down, of course. If you want to have more articulation, you could just kind of loosen it because it has a very long peg for the head, so you could extend the neck and it could look down a little bit more. So that's a pretty cool feature. For the waist, it can rotate all the way around. The legs can do the full splits. There is a knee bend. No ankle pivots, really. There is kind of a leg pivot. So there you go. Forward and back. And of course, it can kick back. There is a swivel here and here. So I probably have missed some. Because again, this figure splits into tons of pieces. And, there's could be some area that I've forgotten, so I do apologize if I have. But that's pretty much it for articulation. Overall, very, very good for a fossilizer. I mean, fossilizers, they split into, or modulators, whatever you call them, they split into tons of pieces, so there's tons of little areas that bend or just disconnect that you can use for articulation, which is really nice. So you can put these figures in really, really cool dynamic poses. So let's get into the final thoughts. So for final thoughts, I think overall this figure's pretty good. So let's start in the T-Rex mode. So the T-Rex mode is pretty good, great articulation, really like the paint apps. Just overall, I think it is kind of, you know, odd for them to store the robot head inside the T-Rex skull. It fills in that area, or the hollow areas, which really doesn't make any sense. It should be a hollow head, because of course it's a dead dinosaur, it's just bones. But again, a nice option for people who do not like to leave parts on the side. Transformation, of course, to T-Rex mode is very simple. You just break it into a bunch of pieces and just kind of build it back up again. Very simple. For the robot mode, transformation from the T-Rex mode to the robot mode, very simple again. Also vice versa. A very simple transformation. You know, just again, break it to a bunch of pieces and just rebuild it. For robot mode, overall, articulation's quite good. Paint apps, very, very nice. Articulation, good. I do just wish that for the joints, they were tighter. I think there's some areas that are quite loose, and some of them are very tight, like the head. When I showed you the articulation for the head, I was struggling to even rotate it because it was just super tight. But for like the arms, there's some areas that could be tighter. The accessory, storage for the accessory is good, just, you know, I don't think it makes the most sense that it is like a dull weapon in that area. The reason why it is just a peg at the end is because it's used for the modular mode, where you can create a battle axe for Megatron so he can hold it. Yes, that is good, but I do think probably the robot mode should take the most important you know, of the accessory, because it really just kind of seems like they put all the attention for that accessory to fit into the modular mode, less than the robot mode. If you understand what I mean, I'm trying to say that really the accessory should mostly really be for the robot mode, not for other modes. They can really just kind of incorporate that in later. It kind of seems like they really did the modular mode first, then just looked at this, and then decided to, oh, we'll just slap the, you know, this tail piece and say that's a weapon, you know. But good storage. You can store it on the back of the shoulder. Unfortunately, it's a little bit loose, but still, it stays better than Paleotrix's. So overall, a pretty cool figure. The head sculpt looks very menacing, very scary, very, very cool figure, and overall the fossilizer concept is just a really, really cool story. I love it if they kept this overall concept and story in the future, and I really do wish, every time I pick up a fossilizer figure, I really do wonder why they did not include these characters into the Kingdom Netflix show. So yeah, overall, very good figure. Let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section below. I hope you really enjoyed this review. Let me know what you think of this figure in the comment section below. And of all the fossilizers, which one do you like the most? Of course, we have Skelivore here. We have Transmutate, Paleotrix, Ractonites, Wingfinger, and Trichranicus. Of course, we do have the Core class figures, Vertebrake, and Dracodon. So let me know. And I think that's it. So I'll see you next.